Content is like liquid. It's like water. That content, that liquid, can be consumed in any sort of device or container. So when we talk about responsive design, we talk about designing things in a way so that people can consume it on any size container or device. So we're going to cover what responsive design is, why we recommend it, how our process has changed, and then Steve Bridges is going to talk a little bit about how that happens. Responsive design is making an optimal experience for any device you're browsing on without resizing, panning the screen, scrolling. It's really just optimizing for any size screen. It responds to the environment. That's where the term responsive comes from. Here's an example of a website we just launched for National Pen. With responsive design, we can build one website and have it adapt and adjust to fit the right screen size. The example on the left, that might be a tablet or a desktop size. You can see the content is shown in a way that's logical, it makes sense and usable. And at the same time, that content is kind of compressed down into a smaller size when it's viewed on the phone. All the content's the same, all functionality is similar, and only one update needs to be made whenever National Pen updates the website. We do responsive design because, as I mentioned, we don't know what device users are using. We can't assume that they're going to just be on a phone or they're going to be on a desktop computer or a tablet. We have to go into our approach without knowing or assuming what they're using. And also, new devices and screens and form factors are coming out constantly. So responsive design is a way to kind of future-proof a little bit. Users are a lot happier using a responsive website. In fact, 40% of people using a mobile device to browse your website will choose a different search result immediately if your site isn't optimized for that device, and responsive design allows us to do that. And 61% of people have a better opinion of brands when they offer a mobile experience. It also shows that they're more in touch with how things work today. This is a really powerful stat. 70% of searches done on a mobile device lead to an action within 1 hour. It takes a month for a desktop or a laptop for someone using that device to reach that same level of action. Another huge reason why responsive design is important is that Google prefers it. Here's a quote taken straight from Google's expert on this, Matt Cutts, and this is a screenshot right from Google's best practices guide. Google always recommends putting a website out that is best for the user experience. They kind of support that here by saying responsive design is the way to go if you want to rank well in Google. Obviously, we have to change our process because responsive design is new to the industry. One thing we've done is we've introduced HTML-based mockups and prototypes. This is an example of a campaign that just launched and was very active this past weekend for Bill's Khakis. We actually built our wireframes in a live environment using HTML and CSS, which then we passed on to our design team and then our development team. The advantage of building an HTML-based prototype is that we can show how that content will move and adjust in those different size containers with the different size screens. So you can see here, our wireframe, our prototype that we delivered shows how all that content interacts and how that liquid moves. Another thing we've done is we've introduced the concept of style tiles. Style tiles allow us to quickly put out multiple concepts and helps us show different elements of the pages without looking at things from a static perspective. Previously, we would deliver static mock-ups of a page, which only shows one screen size and one condition. Websites and apps are living things, so we need to develop an entire system on how things look. Our HTML-based prototypes and style tiles are encompassed in something called atomic design, where we build from the smallest piece into the largest piece. We might have these atoms of a label, text box, and a button, which form into a molecule, which is a search widget. We can use these molecules in organisms. So for example, an organism might be a header on a website that contains that search box. From there, we combine our organisms into a page or a template, and then those templates are then turned into pages or screens. So our traditional process is that we'll define the strategy up front, build that into an information architecture and wireframes. Then very linearly, we would pass that off into our creative design phase where we would build static mock-ups and then develop the website responsively and then put it into our content management system. It's a very linear process, and a lot of times it created a lot of questions as far as what does this element do on this screen, or what is this, how do things change and resize? We've really changed our process to include that responsive prototype phase. which then speeds up time in our development efforts since we already have production-ready code created.